My dad died when I was 6 years old, and being the last of 5, 6, right? It was tough. My son, he sleeps at 9. By 12 he's awake. By 2 he's awake. By 3 he's awake. Sometimes, and then I have to wake up.
Is it tea he wants? Because that's
Different
what my
things.
daughter...
He wants to pee, he wants to drink tea, he wants to eat his food. Sometimes I used to shout on his head. I'll tell you, come, my friend, leave me alone, go and meet your mother. I want to sleep.
Whatever you're doing, once you hear my father say, now, they did not born anybody.
Come on, when these kids start giving birth and then they want a parent to come and stay with them, it's their mother they will pick. It's their mother.
Guess what? The cliche was broken in my family when my daughter was telling someone that Daddy plays with us, but you see, Mommy, she's always on her laptop. I said, yeah. It used to be the other way around.
So my son, even if he takes his bath 20 times, he will not sleep.
Until papi
water. You must carry that towel, get the towel wet, and massage his body.
Wow.
Give him 5 minutes, he'll sleep off.
It is the E.B.U.N show, a talk show for women and the men who love them. I am E.B.U.N. Parenting is not for the weak. It is now I understand what my parent gave. If I had known. Okay, we hear you. But maybe you should have counted the cost before going into parenting. Or some of you should have just gone into the Coventry, jeje. That's rude of you to say. Okay, I know. Because I am a parent myself and I sometimes stress out. And now I understand that no matter the costing you did before getting married and becoming a parent and the books you read, nothing really prepares you enough to becoming a parent. And that is why on the show today, we're discussing parenting, but from the men's perspective. I have with me today Akikomi Obakeye, who is a business journalist and a father of 2. You're welcome on the show. You're welcome on the E.B.U.N show, Akichiku.
Thank you.
Thank you for finding time to be here.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to have an opportunity, to share that experience with people. Though, experiences differ, but it's important that your own side of the story, you never can tell who is in a similar situation and then always is looking for a second advice. Because
honestly, that's what the show is about. Yeah. So how has parenting been?
Parenting has been interesting. It has been an interesting journey. Obviously, it's a mixed bag, the good times, the bad times, the times where you're just like, oh, I miss those days when it was just only me. I need my peace, I need my quiet and all that. But in the end, sometimes you realize that being a parent is not a bad idea. And take, for example, you have your kids at an early age and then you enjoy the fact that as they're growing up, you're growing with them, you learn, you unlearn so many things, time passes, and then you're beginning to understand and appreciate those things that your parents did to you those days, and then you see everything play out. And one advice I always give people is that be a present parent. It's very important because these kids want you. You also need them so badly because for everything they do, they look up to you. So imagine a child that didn't grow up with his father. There's always a huge gap. And I know this for a fact because my dad died when I was 6 years old. And being the last of 5, 6, right? It was tough. I had grown up brothers that are like 13, 14 years older than I am. Wow. So there was that mismatch, They could only do what they could do, at the time, but trying
to teach you what they knew, whether wrong or right.
It was tough, They only just taught me what they understood was right for me at the time, and I promised myself that when I get to that stage, I will not be an absent father. And I thank God because God is giving me all the strength, to be that father. Sometimes it comes with a lot because I have a very clingy son, and then I experienced that with my daughter. My daughter is older. And then, I just try to understand, growing up, getting to take care of my elder brother's children. I got to understand, the rudiments, in childcare, what they need when they are crying and all that. Sometimes it's not a one cap fit all thing.
Because if I let you just answer all my questions at once. So, because I wanted to ask, there's sometimes when you get to take care of your siblings' children, right? You have nieces, you take care of them. There's this feeling of, I can be a mother now.
Yes.
Because but is it the same? Can you say taking care of other people's children and now having your own, were you able to transfer it? Is it the same?
I think it is more. Why? Because taking care of other people's children, there's a limit. Because
when you're tired, you can say, take your thing.
Exactly.
I'm not interested again.
But this one, you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
Sometimes, they tell me I don't get to sleep enough, because my son, he sleeps at 9, by 12 he's awake, by 2 he's awake, by 3 he's awake. Sometimes, and then I have to wake up.
Is it tea he wants? Because that's
different
what my
things.
daughter...
He wants to pee, he wants to drink tea, he wants to eat his food, he wants to, and
in the middle of the night.
Sometimes he just wants you to carry him. He'll say, no, I don't want to sleep on my bed. Carry me on your chest till he falls asleep. And you want to sleep because by 4 a.m., 5 a.m., you're back to the grind of Lagos State, or wherever it is you're working. So you need to now have to find, sometimes I used to shout on his head. I'll tell you, come, my friend, leave me alone, go and meet your mother. I want to sleep. Because the truth is that they would not understand. Their own is that they want you to be there for them, for everything they need. So I remember recently I got a call from somebody I took care of when I was maybe 18 or 17. She was a baby. Her mom had her, and then 3 months she had to resume work. So I went, like a family friend, they came to their house, and then she spoke to my mom. And my mom said, since I just finished school, I'm at home, she's also at home, we can help her look after the kids, and that girl should be how old now? I don't know, in her 20s.
Wow.
And then when they went to visit my mom, and my mom called, and then she asked me, she was like, Uncle Akin, can you guess who's talking to you right now? And I said, if I guess one name, you're going to give yourself a loud knock on your head. And it turned out to be her. And I'm impressed because this is someone who's reading a science-related course right now in the university, and she's doing good for herself, at least the way we spoke over the phone. But I'm proud to know that this is somebody that when she was 3 months old, her mom could, and this was someone that I didn't know how to make baby food then. I would learn to make baby food, she's crying, I'll change diapers, and the like. So sometimes when I see some fathers find it difficult understanding how to change diapers or, having to care for their kids, it worries me because these are little skills you should have picked up growing up. It's a necessity. It's like saying that learning how to swim, is a life-saving skill. This is also a life-saving skill because knowing how to care for your children would reduce your exposure to a lot of risk, the risk of nannies and the likes. Okay,
so I appreciate the fact that you learned it early. Some will argue now that you had the opportunity to. Some really might not have had that opportunity. But don't you think that's the point where men just dump everything for their women? Like, it's a woman's thing, or the baby is crying, change the diaper.
Yes. So
they just transfer to the mom.
That's a personality thing. I would put it that way because there are some men that they'll tell you that, come, my room is my room. I don't want any disturbance. So sometimes they will go out and say, oh, I have something to do, but it's the fear.
They just want to escape.
Yes, it's the fear of the fear of uncertainty, the fear of the unknown. Let me put it that way, because how would I cope? Can I adjust myself, to accommodate these people? Don't forget, you brought them to the world. So you owe it to them, and some will say, Shema Wakbarami, will I kill myself? But the point is that you're not there to kill yourself. But if in the future, when these kids grow up, these memories are memories that they will live with for the rest of life. So it's very important. Like you said, some people will say they didn't have the experience. I made that experience. It was just something that I had to learn. At the time when, she was like maybe my first or second experience, growing up, right? But it made me hunger to know more. So when my brothers started having their kids, I wasn't always with them. But every time I was with them, I made sure that I made sure that I put myself as the best uncle.
Uncle of the year.
Uncle of the year. They want to go get something, and let's go. I put them on my shoulders. We're walking. They want something, I get it for them. I interact with my brother's wives, in a way that when they even see themselves, they are even rest assured that, even if my dad is not around, this person can always serve as my dad. And I'm happy because that has helped me at this time, where I now have to
your own
exactly
and do all these things again.
So it's just a simple plug and play. And I would believe that my wife appreciates it because she shows
No, I was about saying that every woman watching now will be hailing you.
Because I've come to understand that having a home is not just a woman's thing or a man's thing. It's a collective thing. Even training the kids. The one that they will say, this is my favorite child. This child is bad. He learns it from you. No. So sometimes in the house we're playing, my kids will play a lot of rough play, like full time. And my wife is not one person that has that kind of energy. So sometimes we find a way to rope her in, get her on board. I tell my son, jump on her, we tickle her. We do all that because as much as possible, I don't want it to be a memory of
just the mom.
Do you understand?
Because, I'm going to keep that question for now because I was going to ask that, have you felt the need to compete with your wife to gain your children's love? Because when we're growing up, the essay was all about who do you love the most?
Exactly.
Your mom or your
Exactly. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. I mean, I think our generation.
I found it difficult to write those essays though.
It was hard.
But most would pick mom. It was mom readily.
In my case, it was easier because I didn't get to
meet your dad.
Meet my dad, understand him. So it was my mom, but come back from school. I went to a military school, come back from school, and then you know what to do. Your uniform, you're washing your uniform, you've gone to have your bath, done your homework. All that, and then by 8 you're already on your bed because you're not come now. Let's talk. But it was like a regimental way of doing things, So it was very easy for me to say my mom. But a lot of other kids who had that military background, they would still stick with their mom because if it was their dad who was in the military, in my case, they would say, when dad comes back like this, once everybody goes back, go to children's parlor or do this or do that. And I remember one time, my late uncle, may so rest in peace, he now started, that's my mom's younger sister's husband. He now started to put himself, in that shoe much later while we're growing up. And then for my older brothers, he was like a father to them, right? But for me and the other kids, it was tough, having to understand his way, but when we grew up, we now understood that this is the way this man works. Not like he didn't love us, he loved us, but what's important is that he has a way of passing that message. So we need to understand that.
For my father, once that comes in, so my father was a mix. My father was tough, but we also have lots of memories that myself and my sisters would just laugh now. But when daddy comes back, one after the other, one after
just
the
pull
other.
Out.
You just pull out without saying anything. Hey, okay, I'm coming. I'll be in the room. Okay, you just find your way and you go. But there was a time he had to say that because we're all girls, and he had to say, "You ladies should not make me start feeling bad that I do not have a boy. That I have no regrets, but don't do that to me." But at some point he could come get it. But that's why I said my father was a blend because my father would shop from your jewelry, your bangle, your rings, your clothes, and he gets it perfectly. And I'm like, to the extent that if you come inside, you're walking in a clothes that's, who got this one for you? So you can't just bring anything home. So he was tough and it was pleasant. He could say, story night, tell us a story that never existed, I had very nice memory and tough memory because whatever you're doing, once you hear my father say, now, they did not burn anybody. No matter the joke you had been doing, once you hear, even now, my sisters and I still joke about it when you are trying to make a point and the person, once you say, now, oh God, we just all, but I'm talking about you. Let's leave our parents here. Consciously or unconsciously, have you felt the need to compete with your wife? Like, I'm the father of the year here, I'm the parent of the year here. Has it happened?
You know, you can't take that out. I'll be very honest with you. But what I've learned so what I do is that for me as a person, I try to look at those things that would expose my vulnerability, right? And I try to work on them. So in that case, what I do is that I just leave certain things to my wife to handle, right? While I take care of other things. So let's take, for example, buying stuff for the kids, right? I'm not the best in gifting because I get confused. So what I do is that when we go out, do you like this thing? Oh, okay, take it, you know. But in terms of those things, you know, that speak to the kids, you know, clothing, you know, accessories and all that, and I leave that for my wife. So if you call my daughter now, she says, who got this for you? She'll say it's my mommy that got it for me, right? You know, but when you hear experiences like, have you been to XYZ places? She'll say, yes, I went to my dad. Do you get? So I try to find a way to play on my strength, and the places where I notice or I sense will be a weakness to me, my wife has been a very excellent strength in that aspect. And sometimes it can be tiring, you know, because when you're having to think for other people, it becomes really, really stressful. So that has been the way I've been balancing this. Sometimes we go out and then I look at everybody. You have something. What about me? You people have removed me from the settings.
Sorry,
you know,
Daddy.
You know, but that's the pain. But
yeah.
Am I happy? Yes, I'm happy because my kids are happy, right? I'm happy because my wife is fulfilled. She feels fulfilled because she got them something they like. So my daughter does coding in school, right? And then the laptop bag that she was using before was kind of heavy for her, right? So I told my wife, I said, look, we have to go get this thing for her. It's not like I leave my wife to go and buy all those things. So we go together, right? And then we pick. So we went that day. It was in the evening. Even last month wanted to catch me that day because of where I parked, right? But I just told her, you know, I'll go there. I'll look for a suitable place to park. And then, you know, I'll come join you. So we went, and then thankfully I was there. The one she picked earlier, I said, no, this can't work. And then we saw a beautiful one, very beautiful one. The moment we got to my son that is out, that does not even know what's, yes, you know, these kids of nowadays, they are tech savvy, right? They know about phones and everything. But for a laptop, he's crying that he wants his own laptop bag. What do you understand by a laptop bag, right? But I felt happy because my daughter loved the bag, right? And I'm sure that the way she uses her things, she's conscious of the fact that she has a baby brother that would use same thing. So
I like the fact that it is not a competition. You have been able to do it together with your wife, and the children are aware that it is mom and dad. This experience daddy gave us, this experience mommy gave us, which makes a lot of sense because as they grow, it won't be about mommy alone, it won't be about daddy alone. Now, that brings me to the question, have you felt the need to be father enough to measure up to something, to be a dad in a certain way?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
You cannot take that away. You know, sometimes I used to look at myself and I say, come on, when these kids start giving birth and then they want a parent to come and stay with them, it's their mother they will pick. It's their mother. They come visiting and then they want to do something, and then the next thing you are seeing, oh, daddy, this is what we have for you, right? But when you do your investigation, you realize that thing they are giving you is not even up to, it doesn't measure up to what they have given their mother. You know, these are stories that we know about. So that is enough pressure alone. It's enough pressure, you know, but having to measure up, you know, to be that father, that's because I see the way certain kids grow up, and the absence of a father is very important. You know, he helps to mold them. I'm a journalist, my wife is a journalist, and she's in PR right now. But you hear my daughter say, I want to become a journalist tomorrow. I don't want her to be a journalist because we are journalists. I want her to be what she wants to be. If she wants to be a football player, she should go and be a football player as far as it makes her happy. So that is the area where I feel that the pressure is mounting on me. Having not to put my own authority on my kids. You wonder why, because it sounds weird, right? But my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. I ended up studying theater arts. Now I'm a journalist. if I wanted to be a lawyer, I don't know what I would have become, because I don't think that, not like I'm not intelligent enough to be a lawyer, but I don't think that I would have had that fulfillment in life. So I want them to be able to live a fulfilled life, because I'm only here to guide them, right? It doesn't mean that if you say you want to do that, I'll say, no, you are this, you are that. But as far as what you're doing, you're not going to steal, you're not going to kill somebody, you're not going to do anything. Whatever you do and gives you that fulfillment. So that's the pressure. I'm trying not to be a stereotype dad.
Yeah.
That's where, I'm trying.
And the uncertainty of, am I doing it right? Am I not doing it right?
Exactly. So that's the pressure. That's where so as much as I want to measure up to being that father in their life, I don't want to have that so much pressure on them, because a lot of times you hear people say, this is what is this is what is that, but this is what, I want them to learn to make mistakes, learn from those mistakes.
And just be there for them at those times.
Exactly.
I hear you. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a wonderful conversation. I want you to speak to the fathers outside, because they've signaled me. If not, I still have questions for you. Who feel pressure? Because there was a time I asked my husband, are you under pressure? Because there's a way the society places demands on men. You have to be a certain way. You have to be the ATM.
Yes.
You have to be these.
Yes.
Talk about that, because I know you would have spoken. You speak to friends who are men. How is it in the society? Because we need to be able to tend to you men too, right? So speak to the men out there, how they should cope with the pressure, how they should handle what the demands of the society and the family is from them.
You see, we never stop learning. And one thing I'll say is that the pressure is real. A lot of men, a lot of married men are under pressure. Catering for the family, balancing home with personal life, and more importantly, having to accommodate these new people. But the truth is that that's the reason why you're a father. These pressures exist because you are the father. I mean, it goes the same way for the mothers too. But what I would tell men out there is that, look, do what works for you. Health issues, sometimes not having enough sleep and all that, having to go to work, come back, it's telling, right? It will tell on every father, but you need to make sure that being that father is not because of today. It's because of tomorrow. The society will pressure you, everybody will come pressure you, but what matters most is that be you. If this is a way you know how to take care of your children, the little quota you contribute, everything is not monetary.
No.
Presence is very important.
Yes.
You come back from work, as tired as you are, ask your kids, how was school today? As you are talking to them, you fall asleep. They would begin, it will happen 1, 2, 3 times, and then one day they'll say, Daddy, every time we're talking to you, you're always falling asleep, right? With time, they will get to understand these things. But when you don't communicate
at all,
it creates that big lacuna.
And children are intelligent. Yeah, my daughter comes and says, Mommy, do you have a headache? Because she already read my face. She can tell. And you see, this being present. And being present is not just about being in the house alone. No. Not just sitting around in the house saying, no, that's not what we're talking about. Interacting with the children. Do the assignments with them. It doesn't mean everything. And this thing is not about man or woman. If you're the one who has the time, do it. It is not somebody's job.
Yes.
And you hear my daughter say, I want daddy. I'm at home. And they're like, why is daddy not back? And I'm like, hey, I'm your mommy. And it's just a beautiful thing when they're looking for, oh, that's not daddy. They know the sound of their, they're looking forward because they know that there's this interaction that happens. Guess what? The cliche was broken in my family when my daughter was telling someone that daddy plays with us, but you see, mommy, she's always on her laptop. I said, It used to be the other way around.
So it shows that there is something that they want something from you. And I mean, like my kids, when I travel, so I mean, I would, for lack of time, my son, there's a way he sleeps. And I taught him that way. Right? There's something we call papi water. It sounds very weird, right? My son, even if he takes his bath 20 times, he will not sleep.
Until papi water.
You must carry that towel, get the towel wet, and massage his body.
Oh, wow.
Give him 5 minutes, he'll sleep off. But when I'm not around, I do that. So even in my tiredness, sometimes I'm not in dozing off.
You still have to do papi water because it's ritual.
Because it's ritual. It's a norm right now. But
that's beautiful.
As much as it's stressful for me, I still find joy doing it. Because tomorrow, when he's talking, because I keep telling him, I said, look, this thing you are doing, just so that you have children. So when you are doing, don't complain at all, when you're doing it for them. But like we said, it's important that you get to communicate with these kids, build that bond with them.
True.
And like when I'm not around, my wife will always tell me, we miss you, we miss you. The moment I land like this, she has hands off a lot of things, because it's a way of saying that, okay, this is the area you're good at, I can feel it when you're not around. Last week, when my wife was under the weather, I took my daughter to go make her hair. It's not the first time, it's not the second time, it's not the third time, right? I took her to go and make her hair. And beyond that self, we go get their groceries for school and all that. So sometimes I don't know exactly what they buy, but I know where they buy it. So when I get them, I just tell them, those things my wife buy, give me. And then when she doesn't have it, she now tells me.
It's not an excuse for, you are the one who knows how to buy these things,
No, contribute.
See, even me, I'm healing you now. And that will be it on the show today. Thank you so much for your time. We want to hear you, men. One question I would like to ask you, if you're watching, is what is the biggest pressure on you as a man? Put it in the comment section. Women, what do you have to say about being present as a father? Just be there. You never know. Your man can just be coming across your comments. Even if you can't discuss it in the house, just blast up the comment section. I want to read from you. I want to hear from you. Thank you so much. Do not forget, subscribe, like, and share. Bye.
Things have changed. We have actually moved from that a man owns you. There's nothing holding a woman from owning a property. And in fact, the fact that you're not married does not mean you cannot acquire properties. Not Mr. and Mrs. Buntoye. The law does not recognize Mr. and Mrs. You understand? So
tell them.
You know how some extended families can be. Before the man even dies, they're already sharing. We had this conversation in my office last week. And before the man dies, I don't know what gets into them. They're already sharing the property. I know people would say, with the man's name, why not give it back to him, blah, blah, blah. But, sometimes...
No, at the point she changed their name. The name belongs to her.
It is a trademark.
Yeah.
My husband and I had to reach a conclusion that, okay, see, I don't want to use your surname. That it's not because I don't love you or I don't respect you or... No, it's not about that. Like, I just love my name and I'm used to that name.
Yeah, I don't agree with you. If it's that's another name.